Okay, algebra, welcome to class. Okay, so today we're gonna look at some exponent rules that we actually kind of already know, but I'm gonna prove them to you. So the first one that I wanna prove to you, we've looked at this through patterning, but any number to the 0 power is 1. With, of course, the exception that, A can't be 0. 0 to the 0 power is not 1, but that's just an exception. We're going to look today at why this is true. I'll prove it to you. We're also going to look at this one, which we already kind of know. Any number to a negative exponent is 1 over that number to a positive exponent. We came to this by patterning, but I'm going to prove it to you today using algebra. So let's start with this one. And actually, before we begin, make sure you have a piece of paper. Make sure you are writing this down. And if you haven't gotten this far yet, pause the video, get your materials, and write these rules down. Okay, if you are back, that is because you have all of this written down. Hooray, good for you. Now let's go to the work of proving this. Okay, so first we have to begin with something that it may seem quite obvious to you, but is worth repeating. So any number over itself is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 things divided into 5 groups means we have 1 in each group, okay? And if I said 23 divided by 23, it would be like easy, 1. If I said negative 57 divided by negative 57, you would say, no problem, that is 1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, so we're going to carry this with us. We are also going to carry with us the idea that when you divide powers with like bases, you subtract the exponents. That's what we learned in the last video. So let me give you an example. Let's say I had 5 to the 7th power divided by 5 to the 7th power. That would be, if we used our exponent rules, 5 to the 7 minus 7, which would be 5 to the 0 power. Cool, great. But if we thought about this differently, if we said, well, I'm going to expand this out, I'm going to say that this 5 to the 7th power divided by 5 to the 7th power is the same as 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. And this 5 to the 7th power is 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. And if we said that 5 over 5 is 1, then these are going to cancel out. Pachoo, 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 pachoo. And essentially what we get is 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. Now, essentially, we've done a problem 2 different ways. We've approached it 2 different ways, and we got 2 different answers, but we didn't break any math rules. What that means is that these are equivalent. They're the same. Now, I could replace any number for the base. As long as these numbers are the same, I'm going to get 1. So any number to the 0 power is 1. Okay, proof number 1. Proof number 2, here we go. We're going to follow exactly the same logic as we did here. So let's say I have something like, let's do x. We'll use a variable this time. So let's say I have x to the 3rd over x to the 5th. If I were to use my exponent rules when I divide powers with like bases, this only works if the bases are the same, I subtract the exponent. So this is x to the 3 minus 5. The numerator always goes on top, or first. 3 minus 5, well, that would be x to the negative 2. Okay, x to the negative 2. That doesn't have like a whole lot of meaning for me, but I'll go with it. Now, if I think about this expanded out, when in doubt, expand it out, what I get is x to the 3rd divided by x to the 5th. I'll rewrite it so we see it. X times x over x times x times x times x times x, 5 x's, x to the 5th. And now these cancel, pachoo, pachoo, pachoo. And what I'm left with is 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 over x times x, which is the same as 1 over x squared. So again, I've thought of this problem 2 different ways. I haven't broken any math rules, but what I see is that so since I didn't break any math rules, these 2 things must be equivalent. X to the negative 2 is the same as 1 over x squared. And this holds true with all examples, so that any number to a negative exponent is the same as 1 over that number to a positive exponent, just like it is here. X to the negative 2 equals 1 over x squared. Now, this is our preferred way of expressing it. We always express using positive exponents. So if we get the chance, if we get 5 to the 0 power, we'll express that as 1. If we get a negative exponent, we'll express that as 1 over x to the positive exponent. All right, everybody, that's all for today. See you tomorrow.